Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian on this hump day. I got to tell you, we are the take. We are Market Rebellion. Really excited about the day yesterday. What a really impressive day. We not only started off fairly strong, we accelerated into the close. We had a really nice close. S&P up 1%. You see that 50 number, a 50-point move to the upside. That's pretty impressive. Then you see the Dow, and the Dow had another nice day, but it was the NASDAQ that stood out, up 2% on the day, up 270 points yesterday on the NASDAQ. So certainly that was the lifting factor that we were looking at. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of different areas. Consumer discretion up very, very strong yesterday. Those communication stocks up strong, up over 2% yesterday. Financials caught a really nice bid. We've been looking at that 10-year for a while. We've been talking about the direction of the 10-year. It's been really, really interesting. 2.38. That's a level that we hadn't seen in a while. And then you look over at crude. Crude's been kind of going up two, down one, up two, down one on this nice big move over the last week. It was 1 week ago today, we were 94, 95, and here we are today trading at a significantly higher level than that, closer to 113. Yesterday, got up towards 113, pulled back a little bit. We were around 111, 112 for the majority of the day. That volatility index continues to get a little bit hit and go a little bit lower each and every day, closed near the lows of the day. 22.90, so just underneath that 23 level yesterday. It had been up as high as 24 on the highest levels, but like I say, closing on those lows. A little bit slower day when it comes to the volumes. 38 million contracts, not bad, but averaging 42 million for the year, 42 million for this month. And so we were at 38 million, a little bit off, 4 million. So that's a little bit of a statement. I don't know that that's a huge tell at all, because we had some monstrous option individual paper that we were seeing yesterday in a lot of those big tech names. And obviously we see the big run that tech had immediately. As a matter of fact, a lot of that run came after many of what we were seeing yesterday, whether it was in Apple or Microsoft, across the board, just so many different names, including Facebook. Some call it Meta. I'm going to still call it Facebook, but including Facebook, a lot of option paper in there as well. So the financials were strong. Technology actually finished strong. Semiconductors a little less. They were less. They dragged. They're about half as strong as what we were seeing from tech. Tech almost a 1.5% move, about 0.7 of a move to the upside for those semiconductors. So they were a little bit lagging. And why was that? So we look across at some of the names that were kind of pulling on the market. AMD, NVIDIA, Microchip, those names were pulling a little bit on the market. They started off a little bit better, but then we had that easing back. Mosaic was one of those names that was pulling on the markets as well. Okta, we look at a lot of these names that had those high multiples and so forth, and we continue to see a name here and a name there that just seems to get dragged down. Now, we've also seen some pretty nice bounces out of some of these multiple stocks as well. A CrowdStrike, for instance, yesterday having a pretty good day. Datadog yesterday. Lucid yesterday having a nice day. Zscaler, another one of those names, had a really nice day. But it was the financials, I think, that really stood out for me, at least yesterday. Wells Fargo with option paper yesterday. Bank of America with option paper yesterday. JP Morgan had a pretty good day. But as I continue to point out, just take a look each and every day, the month, year to date, 1 year. Take your frame that you want to look at and look at JP Morgan versus Bank of America. You'll see what I'm saying. And including yesterday when they both had a pretty good day to the upside, however. Boeing, a little bit of a snapback, and Nike. Nike didn't get up to 140, but I want to use that as a great example for people. People say, well, it didn't get up over 140 when you had those 140 calls being bought the other day. That part didn't matter. If it moves fast enough, those options start to move. Even as volatility is coming in, there still is that theta, that time decay. So there still was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to trade. Those had a nice big lift to the upside. So a lot of the reasons why we talk about discipline all the time and having different areas of the market that you're going to be focusing on. So the barometer, again, yesterday, Tesla. We point that out only because I've been talking about this for a while. When you look at the NASDAQ, a lot of the time you can look at what's going on with Tesla. Gives you a great read through. Long ago, it used to be Apple. Used to be some of these other names, maybe Microsoft, but it has been Tesla for a while, in my opinion. Yesterday hit 993 yesterday, a pretty amazing run when you consider where Tesla was just a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. Pretty incredible. Chinese names had a pretty good day yesterday. Specifically, it was PDD that had a monstrous 19% move to the upside. So a lot of those Chinese names have had individual days, whether it be Baba one day, PDD the next day, JD, you can go through the list, but we have had a big surge of late in some of those Chinese names, something to really keep track of. So as we get into today, we got a little pressure on the market. Nice close, acceleration, as I say, and then you get into today and the macro scene is about what we have been seeing for a while. Obviously, earnings roll on, but down about 150 for the Dow, down about 120 for the NASDAQ. We get into the day. Early on, NASDAQ still down about 130, a little acceleration down 215 points for the Dow. The Dow still holding in that general area, but at least right now. But the NASDAQ cut that in half. Down, still down, but down about 60 or 65 points right before we came on here. So that's a little bit of an interesting move there because we've seen those moves in the past. Can this accelerate and actually get back into the green? Certainly is a possibility, something we're going to be watching. And Tesla is the name that we'll be looking at as we're watching that. Just as I was mentioning for yesterday, you look at Tesla today, started off the day at 978. It's been as high as 1035 already today. It's been up 3%. It absolutely started on the low and just exploded to the upside. Doesn't mean it's going to hold up there, but as I say, it's a barometer. It's been a really great tell for the general broader picture of the NASDAQ itself. We'll see if that continues. Had some earnings. I mentioned earnings continue to roll on. How about Adobe? Had phenomenal earnings, but then you look at the outlook and that's a little bit disturbing. And obviously the markets took it that way as well. This is a stock, by the way, that was $700 on the 52-week highs. So when you see it just before earnings at 466, yes, that's a huge move to the downside. And they ask this question all the time, is it enough? Well, it's not so much the move, it's where is the stock now from a PE perspective versus normal? And how can we interpret all that? That's why I think you're also seeing a big move to the downside today in that stock, as it was not just the outlook, but also maybe looking at PEs and was it a little bit stretched from where it normally would be when we're not in the pandemic and all of the rest, as we're starting to look through to that. Now, you listen to a lot of these earnings calls this quarter and the quarter before, you're hearing folks that are comparing to 2019, not even trying to compare to the pandemic times, but looking at 2019 and what are some of the numbers looking like from there. Energy started off strong, continues to be strong. It's up a couple of percent. Technology did cut that level in about in half from early on, still in negative territory. We're talking about down about 60 points. Well, technology being a big leader for that. Financials under a little bit of pressure after having a pretty good day yesterday. Semiconductors still holding a little bit of pressure on them as well. So the names that are getting hit a little bit, you've got Adobe, you've got Moderna, you've got Okta, you've got NVIDIA, you've got Datadog. Those names getting hit along with the Chinese names, as I mentioned, had a great run over the last few sessions. Makes a little sense that you might get a pause, a lot like those pauses that we see in crude oil. But crude from 94 or 95 got up to 100, pulled back a little bit, got up to 110, pulled back a little bit, got up to 113. That's about where we are now. You look at the 10-year, really close and did tick at 2.4 and then ticked right back down. You got Bitcoin at 42,000. General Mills, another one of these names that's now standing out and having a little bit of strength today on a day where we're a little bit weaker. Beta energy names definitely stand out as well from a positive standpoint. And we're obviously looking at energy up about, call it 2%. Occidental, Schlumberger, Marathon Oil, Devon, sort of the usual suspects. Throw in the conservative side of something like a Kraft Heinz, and you get the idea. Of course, Chevron and Exxon actually moving as well. I got two unusuals. We're out of here for the day. Gold, Barrick Gold. Take a look at this one, 24.5. We've got a buyer of 6,700 of the April 24.5 calls. So getting a little bit of time, buying stock or options right on top of where the stock is trading right now. Those options are going between 81 cents and 88 cents for Barrick Gold. It's interesting because gold had that great pop up above 2050, then pulled right back down, and we got down towards that 1920 level once again. So is gold ready to make some kind of a move again? Maybe, and maybe that's partially why we're seeing a little bit of the buying in Barrick Gold. Next, I hate doing these ETFs. I really do. You don't get the beta out of these ETFs, but sometimes there is a read through here. So XLU, utility ETF, trading near all-time highs. That's something that definitely stood out. I'm looking with the stock trading very close to 71. We had a buyer of 8,500 of the April 69 puts. Those are going for about 61 cents, and those are just underneath where we are trading right now. They also hedged this off by selling the 65 put. So a fairly inexpensive trade, looking on a vertical for the downside and trading with the puts, something that I think just keep it in the back of your mind, because it's interesting. We've had this great run out of utilities, a lot of people going to safe spots and everything else. Will this be a little bit of a tell that maybe there is a pullback coming in utilities? Maybe, maybe not. It's a shorter term. It's in April. But nonetheless, it's something that I think stood out for me, at least early on, and I wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to at least digest that as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. Get educated in the derivatives markets. We know how powerful they are, but you've got to have that knowledge. Have a great day of trading.